Imagine stepping into your garden, maybe just looking at a plant on your windowsill you've been watching for months, or maybe even a year.
Uh-huh.
You think you know it, right? Every leaf, every stem.
Mm-hmm.
And then, bam, one day it just surprises you.
Mm.
Maybe a little hidden flower pops up, or it suddenly grows like crazy, or you spot something you just completely missed before.
Absolutely. That little moment of discovery.
Exactly. That feeling that even in familiar spots, there's always something new waiting.
And that sense of, well, patient discovery is exactly what we're digging into today.
Okay.
We're looking at some notes from Ang, who's clearly a very keen observer. This comes from the Dear Interweb series.
Oh, yes.
Specifically, a post called Notes on Gardening, Part 649. It just came out September 14th, 2025.
Got it.
And Ang's latest observations introduce us to this plant. Sissoo spinach. Sounds simple, maybe?
A little, yeah.
But it's packed with surprising resilience. Some really unique traits.
Okay, so our mission today, really for you listening in, is to unpack what Ang found out. We want to pull out the most important bits about this seemingly straightforward plant that's actually pretty robust.
Right.
The goal isn't just to know what Sissoo spinach is, but really understand why it's kind of making waves in the gardening world.
Yeah, why it's special.
Exactly, why it's special, and maybe even how it could change how you think about your own gardening. So, yeah, settle in. We're about to dig up some really good stuff from Ang's notes.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start where Ang started. This journey with Sissoo spinach. Ang's been growing it for nearly a year.
Wow.
Think about that. Almost 12 months. Watching it, caring for it, probably wondering what it was going to do.
A lot of patience involved there.
For sure. And then just recently, after all that waiting, a little surprise.
The payoff.
Yes. Some of the plant tips have finally bloomed. So it's definitely not a plant for instant results, but waiting that long, it kind of builds the excitement, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely does. Makes the reward feel bigger. And what's fascinating, Ang mentions these flowers are still pretty small. Small and white.
Oh, okay. Not some huge display then.
No, not yet anyway. And that detail, though it seems minor, it really illustrates the huge amount of patience gardening sometimes needs.
Right.
You put in all this energy, you watch, you wait. And sometimes even the plants that seem really vigorous, like this one apparently is, they hold back their secrets for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So this bloom, after almost a year, it's like that perfect little moment of discovery. A quiet win for any gardener, really, beginner or expert.
Yeah.
When a plant finally shows you something new, it just reminds you that nature's on its own schedule, you know?
That really does capture it, doesn't it? It's not just about, like, the harvest at the end. It's those little unexpected moments.
Exactly.
I remember waiting ages for a fuchsia I had to finally flower. Felt like such a victory when it did. Have you ever waited that long for a plant to show you something unexpected?
Oh, definitely.
Like that first flower, or maybe a weird leaf color, or something?
Absolutely. And those moments, they stick with you, don't they?
They really do.
They're reminders that there's always more going on, more to see, even with plants you think you know inside out. It's a good lesson in, well, delayed gratification.
For sure. And, okay, as Ang kept watching this patient plant, another really crucial thing came to light about how it actually, makes more of itself.
Propagation.
Yes. And this is where it gets really interesting. A total game changer for understanding this plant. Ang found out how it propagates. And it's not seeds.
Oh.
Not like most things you plant in the garden where you sow seeds, wait for them to sprout.
Right, the usual way.
No. Ang discovered, and I'm quoting here, it must be done with cuttings.
Cuttings, okay.
Just cuttings. And that's not just like a fun fact. It explains so much about why this plant is the way it is.
That makes perfect sense. If we connect that to the bigger picture, like Ang's other observations, that detail explains why it's described as so easily propagated.
Right.
And why it grows vigorously. Because think about it. It doesn't need to go through the whole seed germination lottery.
Which can be really unpredictable.
Totally. Seeds need the right temperature, light, moisture.
Yeah.
They might be dormant. They might just not be viable. It's slow. But cuttings, you're starting with actual plant tissue. It just needs to root and grow. It's much faster, much more reliable.
So you basically get a clone of the parent plant every time.
Exactly. Genetic consistency, which is huge if you want reliable results. The same strong traits year after year. No guesswork.
Wow. That's actually a really powerful advantage. Imagine just snipping a piece, sticking it in the ground, and off it goes.
Pretty much.
No fiddly seed trays, no waiting weeks for tiny sprouts. just straightforward growth. That sounds incredibly useful if you want to, fill a space or get a lot of produce.
It really does. Maximum output for potentially less fuss.
But, okay, thinking about that, if it propagates that easily, does Aang mention anything about downsides? Like, could it get too enthusiastic?
Huh. Too enthusiastic. That's a good way to put it.
Maybe become a bit invasive in certain places if you're not careful.
That's a really smart question.
Yeah.
Aang focuses on the vigorous growth as a positive, the ease of it all. There's no explicit mention of it being invasive in these notes.
Okay.
But it's definitely something any gardener should keep in mind with plants that spread this easily. Vigor is great until it starts crowding out your other plants.
Right. Needs boundaries, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So while it's a fantastic trait for getting more plants quickly, you'd want to watch how it behaves in your specific garden, your climate, and just be ready to manage it if needed. It's powerful, so you handle it wisely.
That makes total sense. Use its strengths, but be mindful. And speaking of strengths, let's talk about the practical stuff Aang loves about it. This plant really sounds like, well, a gardener's dream in some ways. Aang says it grows vigorously with little maintenance. Little maintenance.
Music to a gardener's ears.
Seriously. And also quite pest-resistant. Anyone who's fought off aphids or dealt with other garden pests knows how huge that is. It just sounds like a plant that really pulls its own weight, It saves you time and effort.
It really does. And this gets to a core question, doesn't it? For anyone interested in gardening or even just how plants survive, what makes a plant so adaptable, so easy?
Yeah, what's the secret?
Well, Aang points to a couple of key things. First, its basic hardiness. That just means it can handle tough conditions.
Like bad weather. Or poor soil, maybe.
Probably things like temperature swings, maybe a surprise frost, maybe it handles dry spells well. Things that would stress out more delicate plants. So less worry for the gardener.
Okay.
But the other really critical thing Aang notes is it being a perennial.
Meaning it comes back every year.
Exactly. You don't have to replant it from scratch each spring. It just regrows. That's a massive long-term benefit.
Huge.
So you combine that hardiness, the pest resistance, which is frankly amazing, the low maintenance, and the fact it's perennial. Aang calls it an excellent long-term addition to any garden.
I can see why.
It's not just a one-season wonder you have to fuss over. It's like an investment that pays off year after year. It helps build a more stable, much less labor-intensive garden.
Yeah.
If you want less work and more results, these are the traits you look for.
So, thinking about this for you listening, what could this mean for your garden? Or just understanding what's possible.
Right.
Imagine having this reliable plant just doing its thing, giving you greens, maybe year after year with hardly any fuss. That frees you up, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Frees up time and energy for other plants, maybe ones that need more attention, or just less work overall.
It feels like a smarter way to garden, working with the plant's natural strengths, especially if you're aiming for, sustainability or growing more of your own food without it becoming a chore.
Precisely. It's moving away from constantly battling problems towards nurturing something that's naturally inclined to thrive.
Yeah.
And less pest problems means less need for sprays.
Yeah.
Right. So a healthier garden ecosystem overall. It's just a fantastic building block for a really resilient, productive space.
Okay, so given all of that, the easy propagation, the hardiness, the low effort, it's really no surprise what Aang plans to do next with Sissoo spinach.
Let me guess. More of it.
Exactly. Aang says, given its hardiness and ease of care, we'll focus on propagating more of this plant for our upcoming gardening projects.
Makes perfect sense.
And Aang adds this great little line, just pure enthusiasm, the more the merrier.
I love that. It really captures the potential, doesn't it?
It totally does.
And it just reinforces that conclusion Aang reached. You've got this winning combo. Hardy, low maintenance, pest resistant, perennial, and it's super easy to make more using cuttings.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want more of that? It's the logical next step if you're building a sustainable, productive garden. You lean into what works really well.
Using nature's advantages.
Exactly. Building a system that kind of provides for itself and maybe even provides enough to share, living up to that more the merrier idea.
Yeah.
Sharing cuttings with neighbors, community gardens.
It really makes you appreciate the impact one plant, understood properly, can have. It's not just about that one plant anymore. It shifts your whole strategy.
It's systemic thinking, yeah. How one element can influence the whole garden. Pretty inspiring stuff from just observing a plant closely.
Definitely. So, okay, let's quickly recap the key takeaways from Aang's notes on this fascinating Sissoo spinach.
Good idea.
We started with that surprise bloom, appearing after almost a year. A real lesson in patience.
Nature's timing.
Then the big reveal about propagation, not seeds, but super easy cuttings, which explains why it grows so vigorously and reliably.
The key mechanism.
And finally, all those dream qualities. Pest-resistant, low maintenance, really hardy, and it's a perennial, coming back year after year. Just an excellent long-term garden resident.
A real powerhouse, disguised as a simple spinach.
Exactly. A standout plant, really. Offers a great model for an efficient, sustainable garden.
And maybe a final thought, something for you to chew on. Think about how understanding a plant's specific biology, like how it propagates or its natural hardiness, can totally change how we approach growing things. This look at Sissoo spinach shows that sometimes the best solutions, the most resilient approaches, are kind of hidden in plain sight, in the details we might overlook.
Right.
So what other hidden strengths might be waiting in the plants around us? Characteristics we could discover and use to make gardening easier, more productive, maybe just more rewarding.
That's a great question.
How can really understanding a plant help us build not just better gardens, but maybe more resilient little ecosystems right where we live?
That's fantastic food for thought. So maybe this week, take a closer look at the plants around you. Observe them with fresh eyes. Think about what makes them tick, what hidden talents they might have. How could their unique traits help you out, just like Aang discovered with Sissoo spinach?
You might find your own gardening surprise.
Exactly. Or just a new appreciation for an old favorite. Happy observing.